As Hurricane Harvey barrels towards southeast Texas, families brace for impact. Roads flood, winds howl. The city of Baytown prepares for survival. But amidst the natural chaos, another kind of storm was brewing, one that wouldn't leave debris in its wake, but devastation. 37-year-old Crystal McDowell, a beloved mother, ambitious realtor, and a woman determined to find peace after heartbreak, vanished without a trace. Her disappearance, just hours before Harvey hit land, would lead investigators down a path tangled in jealousy, resentment, and a haunting truth. This is the true story of Crystal McDowell. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and comment where you are watching from as we dive into this disturbing story. Crystal was born in Texas and quickly became known for her vibrant energy, sharp intelligence, and irresistible charm. Family members and friends described her as a warm, driven woman who carried her struggles with grace. Crystal's journey into adulthood was marked by love and ambition. She married Stephen McDowell and had 2 children. While the early years of marriage seemed hopeful, behind closed doors, things were deteriorating. Over time, the marriage grew strained. Crystal, who had worked hard to build a name for herself in the competitive world of real estate, felt stifled. Friends say Stephen became possessive and increasingly controlling. The emotional climate in their home was growing cold, especially as Crystal's career soared. The imbalance in their personal growth widened the emotional rift. In early 2017, Crystal filed for divorce. It was a decision she did not take lightly, especially considering the children, but one she believed was necessary for her freedom and mental peace. The divorce was finalized that summer, just a few months before her disappearance. She retained custody of the children and shared visitation with Stephen. Crystal had also started a new relationship with Paul Hargrave, a local man she met through mutual friends. Paul was seen as a stabilizing presence in her life, supportive and caring. But the new relationship ignited fury in Stephen, who reportedly couldn't accept that Crystal had moved on. Despite the complexities, Crystal remained committed to co-parenting. She wanted peace, stability for her children, and a new beginning for herself. Friday, August 25th, 2017, began like any other day. Crystal spent the night at Paul Hargrave's house and left around 7:30 a.m., texting that she was heading to Stephen's residence to pick up their children. She was expected later that day for a family gathering, but never arrived. Hours passed. Her family, including her Uncle Jeff Walters, who had raised her after her parents died, grew anxious. Crystal's phone was going straight to voicemail. Texts went unanswered. As news of Hurricane Harvey's approach dominated the headlines, Crystal's silence became the real emergency for her loved ones. By Saturday, August 26th, she was reported missing. The timing could not have been worse. The storm's fury had flooded roads and slowed all mobility. Authorities were limited in their search efforts, but Crystal's family began scouring the region. Her boyfriend Paul and other relatives distributed flyers, posted on social media, and pleaded with the public for help. Then, a breakthrough. Her black Mercedes-Benz was discovered parked and abandoned at Motel 6 in West Baytown, eerily untouched but partially submerged in floodwaters. There were no signs of forced entry, no blood, and no visible damage. But to investigators, the scene reeked of staging. It looked too neat, almost orchestrated. From the beginning, Stephen McDowell was on the radar. Initially, he presented himself as cooperative. He joined the search parties, answered questions, and stayed in contact with authorities. But detectives noticed discrepancies in his timeline. Stephen told investigators Crystal never arrived at his home that morning, but cell tower data contradicted his statement. Her phone had pinged near his residence. It was there, and then it went dark. A deeper dive into their past revealed a toxic dynamic. Stephen reportedly struggled with Crystal's independence and success. Friends of Crystal told authorities that Stephen had previously made disturbing comments, suggesting he could not bear to see her with someone else. In one alleged instance, he said that if he couldn't have her, no one could. Investigators obtained surveillance footage from the neighborhood near Stephen's home. It showed what appeared to be Crystal's vehicle entering the subdivision around the same time. She was believed to have gone to pick up the kids, but there was no footage of the car leaving. With this evidence and mounting suspicion, detectives intensified their focus on Stephen. Stephen's behavior began to unravel. He avoided direct answers in subsequent interviews and failed to account for several critical hours on the morning of August 25th. His children, too young to provide direct testimony, had reportedly asked about their mother repeatedly. After 10 days of relentless pressure, community speculation, and digital forensics that cornered him, Stephen broke down. During a quiet, unguarded interrogation, he confessed. Stephen McDowell admitted to murdering Crystal. According to his confession, an argument had erupted that morning when she came to pick up the children. In a fit of rage, he strangled her with his bare hands inside the home. The children were reportedly in another room. After the murder, Stephen wrapped her body in a bedsheet, placed her in the trunk of her own vehicle, and drove her to a remote wooded area in western Chambers County. There, he dug a shallow grave and buried her remains. On September 9th, 2017, 15 days after she vanished, police recovered Crystal's body based on Stephen's directions. Stephen McDowell was immediately charged with first-degree murder. The confession stunned the Baytown community. Crystal had been taken not by the hurricane, but by the man she once trusted with her life. The legal proceedings moved swiftly. In 2019, Stephen McDowell pleaded guilty to the murder of Crystal McDowell and was sentenced to 50 years in prison. During the sentencing, family members gave emotional victim impact statements. Her uncle Jeff spoke of raising Crystal from the age of 11 after her parents' untimely death, only to lose her again in such a brutal manner. Crystal's children, left orphaned in many ways, were placed in the care of extended family and received counseling to help cope with the traumatic loss. Crystal's story is tragic not only in its outcome, but also in its warning. Her murder underscores the hidden dangers that often accompany leaving controlling or emotionally abusive partners. While Stephen McDowell may not have left visible scars during their marriage, his need for control, his jealousy, and inability to accept rejection culminated in an irreversible act of violence. Domestic abuse doesn't always wear a black eye. It can be subtle. Emotional manipulation, possessiveness, obsession masked as concern. Crystal did what many victims strive for. She left, sought freedom, and started anew. But for some abusers, loss of control becomes a trigger. The case also brings attention to the emotional volatility that can arise during custody battles. The court system often mandates co-parenting arrangements, even in situations where one parent may harbor dangerous tendencies. Crystal did everything legally and responsibly, and still, she wasn't safe. In the years since her death, Crystal's family and friends have worked to honor her memory. They've spoken out about domestic violence, joined advocacy groups, and worked with shelters and organizations that support victims and survivors. Her name is invoked not only in grief, but as a rallying cry for change. Her uncle Jeff Walters has given interviews to raise awareness, emphasizing that domestic abuse can be hidden and silent. It often takes a village to notice, intervene, and support. Crystal's children are growing up under protection of a loving extended family. Though their lives were irreversibly changed, they are surrounded by people determined to keep Crystal's memory alive in joy, not just tragedy. As Hurricane Harvey raged through Texas, it symbolized nature's indifference to human suffering. But what happened to Crystal McDowell was not a force of nature. It was an act of human cruelty. Storms are unpredictable, but some, like Stephen McDowell, show warning signs long before the destruction. We must learn to see them and act. What do you think about the case? Do you think justice was fully served? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.